Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Coach Franklin's local press conference regarding the Rose Bowl. Use the raise your hand feature, and we'll call on you and unmute you to be able to ask your question. So we'll start with Tyler Donahue. Sorry, Tyler, I just screwed up right there. So let me ask you to unmute. There you go.
Cool, thank you. Good evening, James.
Hey, Tyler.
Curious about Olu, the news that he's coming back, if you're able to give any clarity on his status as you get into postseason preparation and what his return might mean for Drew Shelton and his role in the offensive line moving forward.
Yeah, so, we'll see how this whole thing, plays out. Obviously, medical will play obviously the biggest factor in all these things, but we'll see how it plays out. But obviously, Olu him and his family deciding to come back was obviously something as a program that we're really excited about. But, also, making sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to support Olu and all his academic, plans and goals that he has for himself, as well as obviously playing even better next year and getting drafted as high as possible. So, for me to sit here and say that all those things aren't on my mind and something that I want to make sure that we do a great job of would not be accurate. Obviously we're excited. I got a great relationship with Olu and his family, and it was exciting news, but I want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to support Olu as well. And we'll see how this bowl game plays out, with his timeline.
We'll go with Audrey Snyder, and then we'll go on to Mark Brennan.
Hey, James. I just wanted to ask about how you kind of balance these next 3+ weeks with regards to getting ready for this bowl game, recruiting, the portal, all those types of things. I guess where are you at now, and what do you know about the practice schedule so far for the bowl game?
Yeah, I'm sitting in a airport in the middle of Kansas. Hoping that this press conference will go smoothly, and then I'm gonna jump on a plane and head to my next destination. But we have it all mapped out. So our players and staff have already received our practice schedule. Kind of went over what we thought it would be, a preliminary schedule with the staff a few days ago, but everybody got our schedule, when there's going to be time off, how we're going to handle finals week, when we'll be traveling, when we'll be practicing. All those things are mapped out for us, which is nice. Kevin Threlkill does a great job for us in those areas. But right now, I think balance is a good word. We're trying to split our time between finishing up this traditional recruiting class, obviously having awareness of what's going on in the transfer portal, which is about to hit hot and heavy here pretty soon. Making sure that we met with all of our current players before we left, and making sure our guys finish strong academically, and then continue to practice. The practices right now, we've already had a couple, but the practices right now are more of a spring ball type of practice. And then as we continue to break our opponent down, the University of Utah, and then start game planning, then obviously we'll get into more specific Utah, game plan specific practices. Right now it's more like a spring ball type of practice, program development, where trying to get the guys that we think are going to have big roles for us next year, try to get them a little bit more involved than maybe they have been.
Mark Brennan, and then we'll go to Donnie Collins.
James, kind of along those lines, I don't think we've had a chance to ask you about this new transfer portal window. What are your general thoughts on it? And when you hit it tomorrow, how crazy is that going to be given everything else that you guys are dealing with at this time? Thanks.
Well, for me to sit here and say that I'm not worried about college football and that I'm not concerned, about maybe, some of the advice, that some of these guys are getting. And I'm not talking Penn State specific. I'm talking big picture right now. is concerning, So, at Penn State and specifically with me, obviously I want as many of our guys to play in the NFL as possible, but I'm also still a big believer on what getting your undergraduate degree, and for a lot of our guys a master's degree, what that's going to do for them for the rest of their lives. And what my concern is that, the more coaches I talk to and the more people I see, academics is less and less a part of some of these decision-making process. It's strictly about football. And I do think there's still a balancing act that I think needs to happen and can happen, where a kid, can reach all of his goals from an academic perspective and still be able to chase his football dreams. And that's why being at a place like Penn State is so important and is so special, because the young men in our program have the support and the resources to achieve all their goals and all their dreams. And that's not the case everywhere. That's really not the case everywhere. So to be fortunate to be at a place like Penn State as a coach or a player, is a phenomenal thing. And I think it's magnified right now in the landscape of college football.
Johnny Collins and then Johnny McGonigal.
Hey, James, you mentioned on the last call that you watched the Pac-12 championship game the other night. Obviously haven't gone over in depth, but just from first glance, what impressed you with Utah? And as a fan, what did you like about what their program looked like the other night?
Well, they're a tough, hard-nosed football team that is resilient and can overcome, adversity. I mean, obviously, USC is a talented football team, and, they made their plays. They got a talented quarterback that made plays, and they just kept competing and made timely plays. And, one of my favorite plays of the game is when the quarterback, kind of hurled over a leg or a body and then got kind of hit and his helmet flew off. And, to me, it's very telling when you watch a guy that gets hit like that and how they respond. He bounced right up and put his helmet right back on. And, that has such an impact on your team and on your program when your quarterback can take a shot like that and bounce right back. I think that's very telling of who they are as a program. And, they got a veteran coach who's been there and done that, and, has had a ton of success in building that program. So it's going to be a heck of a game, and it's going to be a heck of a challenge, and in a tremendous venue that I know our guys will be looking forward to.
Johnny McGonigal, and then we'll go to Greg Pickle.
Yeah, James, a few days ago, Joey Porter Jr. announcing that he would be declaring for the draft and foregoing the bowl. What has Joey's impact been on you, on your program, him coming back for the senior game, and I guess even on the guys in the cornerback room who will be, stepping up in his absence?
Yeah, obviously, here's a young man that we recruited out of Western Pennsylvania, and obviously comes from a football family and came here and really thrived. Thrived academically, thrived from a football perspective, just kept getting better and better. And obviously, you guys have seen him physically. He's got, a lot of physical tools that most corners do not have. And he just kept getting better, within our program from a strength and conditioning perspective, from a technique and fundamental perspective, from an overall football perspective. Terry Smith did a phenomenal job with him. And, obviously, whether it was Brent Pry or Manny Diaz, we were able to, call certain things or run certain schemes because of the confidence that we had in our, defensive backs, and specifically our corners when we're talking about Joey. So, I'm proud of him. And, for him to be able to come or fight and battle and try to come back as quickly as he did, from his, medical situation, which was the appendicitis during the season, and do everything he possibly could to try to get back. I think was telling on his commitment to his teammates and his commitment to this program and university. So I'm proud of them, and we're going to be there to support them every step of the way.
Our last two questions will be Greg Pickle, then Devin Jackson.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Coach. How are you?
Good, Greg. How are you, man?
I'm well, thank you. In terms of, you were talking about the balance of academics and everything that goes into all these decisions. So do you have to set a deadline for these guys in terms of getting ready for the bowl, or how does that all work in terms of the portal and the NFL draft decisions that all these kids have to make?
Yeah, you're just trying to have open, transparent conversations, and you hope the relationships that you built all the way from the recruiting process and through this, that they're comfortable enough to come in and talk to their position coach, or they're comfortable enough to come in and talk to me and be honest, and be transparent, so that we understand what we're doing, and hopefully we can help them and advise them. And that also so that we can plan for Penn State moving forward and know what's coming, and not be surprised by anything. So that's just kind of how we try to approach it. And again, be honest and transparent, know what's going on, and have really good conversations. But again, that doesn't happen, over a month. That's happened over, 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, sometimes, depending on how this whole thing plays out, which gives you a pretty good idea. And then the other thing is, it's a small world, right? A lot of my buddies are coaching all over the country. And, I've been in situations in the past where, one of my buddies has called me and said, "Hey, we've heard from a player, and I wanted you to be aware of it," and so on and so forth. So, making sure that just everybody understands it, and there's a way to handle these situations and be respectful of everybody as much as you possibly can.
Our last question will be Devin Jackson.
Hey, James. You talked a little bit about some of the young guys, getting some looks and some more reps. One player that's really emerged for your defense over this past month or so is Abdul Carter. What have you seen from him just over the course of the season, growing in the defense, and how impactful will he be, going forward in the Rose Bowl game, and then obviously over the next few seasons?
Yeah, just obviously a real talented guy, physically talented. When you talk about size and speed and how explosive he is, and his burst on film, I think, is as good as I have seen on the defensive side of the ball. There's been one other guy that we've had that's had that type of acceleration to the ball carrier. But to me, the thing that's really stood out is his maturity and his discipline and his mental approach as a true freshman has been phenomenal. And his high school coach and program did a great job with him, but his dad did an unbelievable job with him. And his dad told me this. It's interesting, though. A lot of dads say that about their sons, but his dad was adamant about how his son was going to be in our program, and he's been exactly that. It's been really impressive, and as the season has gone on, he's gotten more and more confident in his responsibilities and in his role within the defense, and has been able to play with a little bit more instincts in terms of not thinking about what his responsibility is in the defense, just knowing it cold and just going out and playing the way he's capable of playing. I think it's shown. It doesn't, you don't have to be a football expert to watch this guy play and realize that he's got a chance to be really special, and has already shown, not just flashes of it, but on a consistent basis, and it's gotten more and more consistent as the years gone on. So obviously got a bright future, and we're going to need him to play well in the Rose Bowl.
All right. That's all the time we have for